This gorilla broke loose, and mauled visitor Yvonne Bokito's story. Imagine standing just feet away from one of the most powerful creatures on Earth, a magnificent silverback gorilla. You smile at him, thinking you share a unique bond, a silent understanding. But what happens when the line between admiration and danger is crossed? What if the animal you believe loves you turns into a terrifying force in seconds? This is not just a story about a wild animal. It's a story about human assumptions, animal instincts, and the consequences of underestimating nature's true power. Welcome to Nature's Last Call, the channel where the planet's wildest mysteries meet hard science and urgent truth. In today's episode, we're uncovering one of the most shocking animal attacks ever caught in the modern world, a terrifying moment when a powerful gorilla named Bokito broke loose and mauled a human visitor in broad daylight. But before we dive in, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on our upcoming deep dives into nature's most baffling and brutal moments. Now, let's get started. The early life of Bokito, from abandoned infant to silverback. Bokito's story began under challenging circumstances. Born in captivity at the Berlin Zoo, he was abandoned by his mother at birth. This early trauma meant Bokito was hand-raised by human caretakers, leading to an unusual level of familiarity with humans compared to other gorillas. By the time Bokito was 11 years old, he had grown into a full-fledged silverback. Yet his upbringing made him less socially adept with his own species, and his behavior diverged from what zookeepers expected from a wild gorilla. In 2005, about a year and a half before the infamous incident, Bokito was relocated to the Blijdorp Zoo in Rotterdam, Netherlands. The move aimed to encourage more natural gorilla behavior and reduce Bokito's human dependence, as well as to prevent inbreeding within captive populations. At Blijdorp, Bokito lived in the great apes section and quickly became a favorite among visitors. A special connection: Petronella and Bokito. Among Bokito's admirers was 57-year-old Petronella Yvonne, who visited the zoo regularly, sometimes more than 4 times a week. She believed she shared a unique bond with the gorilla. To her, Bokito was not just a wild animal, but a friend who responded emotionally to her presence. Petronella had photographs and videos of Bokito dating back to when he was just 4 months old at the Berlin Zoo. She was convinced that when she smiled at Bokito, he smiled back. Their relationship was something she cherished deeply. However, this connection was far from mutual in the way humans might assume. Ignoring the warnings. The danger of misrating animal behavior. Several days before the attack, a zoo caretaker warned Petronella about her behavior around Bokito. The caretaker urged her to stop trying to get physically close to the gorilla and to avoid making prolonged eye contact. Why? Because, while humans may see eye contact as a gesture of trust or connection, in the animal world, and particularly among gorillas, it often signifies dominance, aggression, or a challenge. Prolonged staring can provoke defensive or aggressive responses from many mammals. Despite this warning, Petronella chose to ignore it. The day of the attack, May 18, 2007. On May 18, 2007, Bokito was 11 years old, a fully grown silverback gorilla at the peak of his strength and dominance. Weighing nearly 400 pounds, he was a towering presence at the Rotterdam Zoo in the Netherlands. But on this particular day, something was different. Earlier that morning, several zoo visitors had reportedly thrown stones into his enclosure, provoking and disturbing him. Though silent and seemingly calm, Bokito had been left deeply agitated, his trust in humans shaken. Unaware of the tension brewing behind the glass, longtime zoo visitor Petronella and her husband arrived for what they believed would be another ordinary visit. Petronella had visited Bokito almost daily, convinced she shared a special bond with him. She smiled, waved, and made extended eye contact. Gestures she believed were friendly, even affectionate. But to a gorilla, especially an anxious and territorial silverback, such behavior could be interpreted as a challenge or threat. Then, in an instant, the peace shattered. A loud splash echoed across the zoo. Gasps and screams followed. Bokito had done the unthinkable. He escaped. He scaled a 3-meter wall and crossed a deep moat designed specifically to contain him. Despite the popular belief that gorillas avoid water, Bokito showed a terrifying level of determination. He emerged dripping, furious, and free. Panic swept through the crowd as people scattered in all directions. Parents screamed for their children. Zoo staff rushed to activate emergency procedures. But Bokito wasn't attacking at random. His focus was chillingly clear. He locked eyes with Petronella. As he charged toward her, the nightmare began. In a matter of seconds, a calm zoo visit had turned into a life-threatening incident, one that would shock the world and change safety standards forever. The attack and its aftermath. When Bokito reached Petronella, he grabbed her arm with terrifying force, crushing her hand and breaking bones in her wrist and lower arm. But the nightmare had only just begun. The massive silverback pinned her to the ground, sitting with his full weight, over 400 pounds, on her chest and torso. Then, baring his long, sharp canines, he bit her repeatedly on her legs, arms, and back. Witnesses were horrified as the scene unfolded. Children cried. People screamed. Petronella, bleeding and helpless, later said that when she felt his teeth tear through her flesh, she was certain she would not survive the attack. But somehow she did. Zoo staff managed to lure Bokito away using food, giving emergency responders time to rescue her. She was rushed to the hospital with over 100 bite wounds and extensive injuries that would require multiple surgeries. The incident stunned the nation. Questions about zoo safety, human interaction with wild animals, and enclosure designs flooded the media. Petronella's belief that she shared a bond with the gorilla was suddenly reframed as a dangerous misunderstanding of animal behavior. Bokito was not euthanized, but was relocated to a more secure enclosure, while the zoo faced intense scrutiny over how such an escape had even been possible. Miraculously, she survived. Bokito dragged her injured arm as he moved toward the zoo's restaurant, leaving a trail of blood behind. His fury did not subside. He smashed windows, tables, and chairs, creating panic among zoo visitors who had sought refuge inside. The rampage was only halted when zoo staff sedated Bokito with a tranquilizer dart and returned him to his enclosure. The media frenzy and speculation. In the weeks following the attack, the story of Bokito dominated Dutch media. Everyone wanted to understand what had triggered such extreme behavior. Zoo staff suggested Bokito might have perceived Petronella as a challenge because she had made prolonged eye contact, which gorillas interpret as a dominance display. Others believed the gorilla was frustrated by the woman's repeated visits, feeling rejected when she left after engaging him. Petronella's husband publicly accused the zoo of negligence, claiming they knew Bokito was an escape risk, but failed to take adequate precautions. Meanwhile, experts in primatology, biology, and philosophy offered various explanations. Some suggested the attack was driven by love, claiming Bokito was infatuated with Petronella and acted out of jealousy and frustration. The zoo's director dismissed these romantic notions as anthropomorphism, improperly applying human emotions to an animal's behavior. Lessons from Bokito's story: the complex relationship between humans and wildlife. Bokito's story is more than just a sensational news headline. It reveals the complex, often misunderstood relationship between humans and wild animals, especially those kept in captivity. It highlights the dangers of projecting human emotions onto animals and underestimating their instincts and physical power. The incident also sparked important conversations about zoo safety, animal welfare, and the ethics of keeping such powerful creatures in captivity. As a result, Blijdorp Zoo implemented new safety measures, including a one-way mirror on Bokito's enclosure, preventing visitors from making direct eye contact with the gorilla and reducing potential triggers. Bokito today, a silverback with a legacy. Now, at 26 years old, Bokito still lives at Bliddorp Zoo with his troop. He has fathered 10 offspring, the latest born in 2022. Though his story is marked by tragedy, it also symbolizes the ongoing challenges zoos face in balancing conservation, education, and safety. What truly caused the attack that day? Was it a misguided expression of affection, a burst of fury, or the result of negligence and ignorance? Bokito's story reminds us that wild animals are not pets or playthings. They have instincts and needs that do not always align with human expectations. Understanding and respecting these boundaries is crucial, whether in the wild or in captivity. If this story shocked you, it's a powerful reminder that nature is not a theme park. It's raw, real, and unpredictable. Share this video to raise awareness about the fine line between human fascination and wild animal instincts. Like, comment, and let us know your thoughts on the Bokito incident. And don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening stories from the wild side of our world.